All right, I believe I am live. Yep, all right, we're good. What's up, guys? This is Retired Sergeant First Class Bites. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to some pictures that I haven't seen in a long time from my deployment to Baghdad, Iraq. I know that there's also pictures in here that I've never seen before. These pictures were sent to me by one of my battle buddies. He was basically our platoon photographer. Do me a favor and like this video, subscribe, turn on the bell, leave a comment, and interact with me. This is a real band of brothers right here. We're part of Bravo Company 37 Infantry, stationed out of Fort Stewart. At this time, we're in Baghdad, Iraq, on FOB Falcon. This is 3rd Platoon. I believe this picture is where Rice and Purvis both got promoted to specialist. You can see I'm still in E2 with the mosquito wings. We are on FOB Falcon and we are on our barracks rooftop. The first thing that I noticed when I look at this picture is the trash. It was a culture shock going over there and seeing that they didn't have a civilized government where they had trash trucks and things like that. There's really no such thing as littering. Believe it or not, this is actually a nicer area because you have paved roads, all the kids have clothing on, you have light poles, and you have houses to the right. Here, most likely, we're giving the kids chocolate, which is candy, chocolate, or some type of food. And if you look in the background, it looks like you can see the green zone possibly because you can see those towers. You can only see their silhouette. This looks like downtown Baghdad. My initial thoughts are we are stopped, but we have not been stopped for long, because if we had been stopped for more than a minute or two, then our dismounts would be out of the vehicle pulling security. I also notice on the left side of the picture, the interpreter outside of the truck. So our squad leader is most likely having that interpreter give instruction to the civilian population. I almost mentioned this in the last picture, but look at these power lines. I cannot tell you how many times that our truck whip, like antenna whip, would hit these power lines and rip them down. I would feel bad about that, but their power lines are a complete mess. Also, notice their little food stand. That's like equivalent to a hot dog stand, we'll say, in America, or maybe like a farmer's market. You look to the lower right of the photo, you see the kid, he's kind of posing. A lot of times they don't like to look at the camera or pose. That's more so with females though. Important people normally will want to wear a mask if they're going to be in a picture, or they'll try to cover their face really quick. This picture is kind of hard to see. That's Staff Sergeant Hicks. On this specific day, he found out that his wife was having twins, a boy and a girl. So you can see he's extremely happy. He's got cigars in his hand. You can see me in the background, a couple other soldiers, but rest in peace, Staff Sergeant Hicks. Coming off that last picture, this picture is kind of hard to see too, but we were celebrating that Staff Sergeant Hicks was having twins. If you're looking for me, I am in the gray PT uniform towards the middle of the screen. But yeah, that's my whole platoon right there. This is a mohalla, which is a neighborhood. This is a pretty nice neighborhood, but for whatever reason, this neighborhood freaked me out. There was something creepy about it. I just can't put my finger on it. I felt like maybe we were always being watched, but as you can see, the dismounts are on the ground, pulling security, gunners are pulling security. I don't remember exactly what we were doing in this picture, but regardless, we're always seeking the enemy. We're always trying to gather intel. We're always looking for roadside bombs. Again, you notice the trash. Could you imagine living like this? You gotta remember that they're not only living in a tent, but it's 110 degrees outside. They have no running water. They have no power. But something crazy is most of these people are just as happy as you and I in these living conditions, believe it or not. They really don't need any material things for happiness. I've always liked this picture right here. I'm on a rooftop in Baghdad. I'm suited up. I got my M4 Kevlar on, my iPro, bunch of magazines. I'm glad I got this picture. I'm not really sure the background on this picture. It looks like you got maybe 3 sisters. It's rare to get a picture of girls, but since they're a little bit younger, they're not as afraid of the camera. If they were older, I can guarantee you they would not be posing like this. Sergeant McKinney in the back doing his little photo bomb thing. Also, if you look in the far back, you see that building. It's either under construction or it was blown up. I'm not 100% sure. This picture right here reminds me of my first patrol in Iraq. I've made a video about it, so I won't go full in detail, but I was pulling security and nobody is supposed to get inside of your perimeter. So you've got a 360 perimeter and you're not supposed to let anybody or anything inside. Well, next thing I know, I have a bunch of sheep and goats heading towards me and I'm trying to block them from getting into our perimeter, but they just overwhelm me. And of course, I'm not gonna shoot a goat or a sheep. However, However, one of those animals could have had a bomb strapped to it and blew us up, and I knew that. But that's the last thing you're expecting on your first mission. This right here is a silly picture that we did for the company that sent us these spotlights. Believe it or not, those spotlights saved many of our lives many times. Very thankful for those spotlights. Here's another picture of Tent City, it looks like. You can see the family outside of their home. They're just chilling. I wonder how you're seeing these pictures in comparison to how I'm seeing them, because to me, they just seem normal, but to you, they might seem shocking. I don't know. So in the comments below, let me know what you're thinking as I'm going through these pictures. All right, I came across a couple pictures that I just cannot show because they are too extreme for YouTube, I believe. You probably don't want to see them anyway, but here is a picture from an IED that went off. You can see some fragments of the explosion. And this is a reverse angle of the explosion right here. So you can see some fragments, but obviously I just can't show too much on YouTube. And again, I don't really think you want to see it. There's my boy, Doc Kelly, rest in peace, Doc. And then you've got Specialist Stewart, he's the one giving the IV. Then you got Specialist Taylor, he is the one receiving the IV. We only had one platoon medic, so we had to know how to give IVs. Infantrymen are versed on a lot more things than just shooting guns. Wow, this picture, where do I even begin? So yeah, you can see me on the left. I'm walking out of my room. First, we're gonna touch on the bag. See the bag I have in my hand? That's a trash bag. Notice the can. I wanna say that's like a Fanta, but notice it's in Arabic. So when we would go to the chow hall, they would have Red Bulls and sodas and things like that, but it would be written in Arabic, or at least half Arabic, half American. Anyway, so you have Jones here, right? We're in the middle of a combat zone. Everything is stressful. But if you don't make time for fun, you're gonna go crazy. And Jones was such a character. He was always doing something silly. Although he looks funny here, that man was lethal on a machine gun. He is one of the best gunners that I've ever met. Gilly, that's my brother right there. I'll try not to cry, but rest in peace, Gilly. He was my first roommate when I had joined the Army. He was the perfect roommate too, because he was basically the leader of the E4 Mafia. He was like the godfather. He knew all the ins and outs, and he passed that information on to me. I love and miss that dude. Here we go. This is movie night. So we had a TV that we all shared, and my roommate happened to have a TV too. But obviously TVs were rare over there. We would do these movie nights where we would watch a movie as a platoon or as a squad. We only had a few movies to choose from, so we would watch the same movies quite a bit, at least initially. But then we started getting movies at a certain point. I know for me and my roommate, the only DVD that we had was Desperate Housewives. Somehow we came across Desperate Housewives, so we watched Desperate Housewives. And I mean, that might sound funny, and it is funny looking back, but when you have nothing else to watch and you're fiending for entertainment, it's better than nothing. If you laughed at me for watching Desperate Housewives and you're an E6 or below, do push-ups right now. Here's Sergeant Yuri and Sergeant Forsyth, both great leaders. Sergeant Forsyth went on to become a chief warrant officer flying Blackhawks. He recently retired. Congrats, brother. Much respect. I miss both of you guys. If you notice in this picture, it's the E4s and below, besides the instructor, who is Sergeant McKinney. He is giving us a class on the 50 cal. Even though we all knew how to work the 50 cal, you have to stay sharp on your skills, right? You got to stay familiar with your weapons. I used a 50 cal almost every day, but I still took classes on it. You just got to stay persistent with your weapon systems. All right, I like this picture, same class, but look at my boy Specialist Taylor posing for the camera, looking like a stud. Garcia, this dude right here was never the most, how will I say it? I don't want to say most squared away. He wasn't the most squared away, but he really didn't care so much about his uniform being perfect. He didn't care about saying the most perfect things, but this man was one of the best Bradley gunners you're ever gonna find. I was his driver, he was my gunner. I felt safe every time I was in that vehicle because that dude didn't play. He was gonna keep us safe. Garcia, I love you, bro, you know that. Looks like we're having a chill day. Believe it or not, some of the times that I had in Iraq were the best days of my life. I even miss Iraq sometimes, as crazy it is to say. Would I want to deploy again? Absolutely not. But for whatever reason, I just have times where I miss being over there and the relationships I had, the things we did, how simple life was. R.I.P. Doc Kelly. All right, you got 2 Rangers right here. One is my platoon leader. The other was my company commander. These are 2 of the best officers I've ever served with. All right, here you got my company commander, my platoon leader, but then you have my platoon sergeant. This picture sums up him. This man, I did not really like him so much when he first came to my platoon. I'm just being honest. He worked us to the bone. All the other platoons would get off work and we would continue to work for hours after that. And I'm like, this dude is rough. All he does is work us and work us and work us. So for the first 6 months, I wasn't such a fan of him. Now this man, I couldn't live without. I love him so much. He knows that. This picture right here says, fuck around and find out. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to get into a firefight with these men. All right, we're on patrol here. We never rolled with just 2 vehicles, so there was certainly a vehicle behind this Humvee. I'm assuming it would be another Humvee. I see all the dismounts on the ground. Everyone's kind of pulling security. The man in the middle of the screen, it looks like he is the interpreter, but I cannot see him that well. But this is just kind of what a patrol looks like. So we've got 4 Humvees lined up. This is what it looked like right before we were getting ready to go out on patrol. I'm pretty sure that I was not on this patrol because the lead vehicle gunner is Velasquez in this picture, and I was always the lead vehicle gunner when I went out. And when Velasquez went out, he was always the lead vehicle gunner because that dude is a straight sniper. All right, here we go. This is my platoon sergeant, Sergeant LeMasters. If you're watching this, brother, you know that I love you. I appreciate you. Again, I did not like him for the first 6 months when he became my platoon sergeant, but you got to understand, I was just a private. I didn't even know what a leader was supposed to be like. This man is a true leader. He got me home from Iraq. He got us all home from Iraq. A couple months after being deployed, we were out on patrol and I was gunning for Sergeant LeMaster. We got into a crazy firefight that day. It was the first time that I ever gunned for him. After that firefight, he looked up at me and said, "Bites, you are my new primary gunner." And I took that as the biggest compliment in the world because you got to understand, I was an E2, he was an E7. Him telling me basically that I did so good that he wants me to be his gunner meant the world to me. And after it was all said and done, I realized that the reason that he made us train so hard was to ensure that we got home. Looks like we're handing out toys or candy or coloring books to the kids. I loved when we did this. You have to understand, these kids don't have toys. They don't have Walmarts. They don't know what our life is like in America, and they're grateful for anything that they get. I feel like while we were over there, we did a lot of good and helped a lot of people out, and I hope that the feeling is reciprocated. Here's another patrol. You can see all the neighbors are outside. If you look to the right of the first vehicle, you got a family right there by the vehicle. I'm assuming that there's a soldier on the right side of the vehicle that we can't see, and then there's one on the left that we can't see as well, probably closer to the screen because Velasquez is looking straight forward. His head's not on a swivel, so I'm assuming he's got security on both sides. Obviously, there's no element of surprise here because if we were trying to surprise this neighborhood by showing up, we would have came at a different time, but obviously all these people would not be outside, so we didn't surprise them. We must have been there for a while, not sure. I want you to see this right here. This is a kitchen in a nicer house in Iraq. I hope there are more pictures of inside this home. Oh, if you look to the left right here, there's a refrigerator. You don't see refrigerators in homes in Iraq very often, so this was a more wealthy family. All right, cool. We have another picture. It looks like it's still inside the kitchen. They've got something like a toaster oven to the right of the screen. They've got some bread baking pans, possibly some bread in this container here. All right, this has to be the same house. So this is their living room. If you look at the window, they have an air conditioner right there. So that's pretty high class. They've got a nice little couch, a TV. Again, TVs over there are rare. Looks like they might have like a DVD player and possibly an audio and video receiver. They might have surround sound throughout their whole house. I don't know. What is this? Not too sure what I'm looking at here. I do see a toy in this dresser. Oh, that is a baby crib. Tell me that's not crazy. Okay, so we're still in the same house, I think. If you look to the right, there's that 3-door dresser. So I'm thinking that this is just the same room, but a different side of the room. So there's a closet, you see their window. If you notice, the rug looks really dusty, and it is because there's so much sand that flies around that country. It gets through windows, it gets through every crack and crevice. Everything is sandy over there. I'm thinking this was probably a change of command ceremony. I just know that we didn't get together as a company too often. Okay, yeah, this is a change of command ceremony. I believe our company commander was being replaced. I could be wrong. It's been, what, 17 years? Here's a quick view of our trucks. Your goal is to find SpongeBob. All right, that's me, Little Rod, and Sergeant Rank. He was my team leader at the time. Looks like I'm doing another 50 cal class. Again, you gotta stay up to date on your weapon system. You gotta keep them clean, and you gotta stay familiar with them. If you're not using them, you will forget. All right, this is me and Velasquez right here. We're doing combatives. You notice I've got his arm. I'm about to put him in an arm bar. Right after this picture, I put him in an arm bar and I dislocated his shoulder. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened after this picture. Yeah, but we were doing combatives. Whoa, bro. That's how I look. Whoa, bro. But looks like we got an internet cafe here. This must have been in Kuwait. I don't remember us having an internet cafe on Fob Falcon. Ah, so you see the explosion in the background and I'm not even looking. We got so used to explosions that I didn't even look back. I'm trying to make light of a tough time. That's not the truth. I'm sure I did look back, just I wasn't caught on camera looking back, but those explosions became very common quickly. This vehicle right here, I'm glad I have a picture of this. So this vehicle was actually ran over by a Bradley. So one of our vehicles was shot up, okay? It was actually, my vehicle got shot up. It was a Humvee. I believe the mechanic said it had they found 23 bullet holes. So our vehicle broke down. Our Bradley needed to get around our truck so that it could tow us, so it could hook up and tow us. It could not get around us. The only way to get around us was to run over this car. So it ran over this car. Of course, there's nobody in it. It got in front of us. They started hooking us up, and while they were trying to hook up the truck to the Bradley, we took fire from a rooftop, and of course we returned fire, eliminated that threat quickly. But we went back to the owner of this car, we found the owner, and brought him money to buy him a new vehicle. Okay, so here's another angle of the car. You can see how much damage the Bradley did running over this car. And when it ran it over, it didn't even seem like a big deal to the Bradley. Those things are so heavy, so powerful. All right, this looks like Kuwait. We're at the firing range. We were probably zeroing our weapons to make sure they were good to go for our next step in our deployment. All right, looks like another first aid class, either how to evaluate a casualty or how to apply a pressure dressing or a tourniquet or something like that. Look, when we weren't out on patrols, we were training. That's why in a lot of my videos, I say stay alert, stay alive. Yeah, I made a video where I said that infantrymen don't sweep. Okay, give me a break. We got a picture of me sweeping, but my vehicle had just been worked on, so I am cleaning up after myself. Sometimes you gotta sweep, but if you're doing it regularly as an infantryman, there's a problem with your leadership. Leaders, if your troops don't have stuff to do, send them home. Do not have them pushing a broom or doing janitorial work just to keep them busy. Don't do that. All right, we call these cross sabers. When I seen them for the first time, I was just shocked. They are so huge. I think the Iraqi people called them the hands of victory. So they are a pair of hands holding swords that are crossed in like a triumphant way in the capital city of Iraq, which is Baghdad. The two arches mark the entrance to this parade field. It commemorates the win in the Iraq-Iran war led by the Iraqi president, Saddam Hussein. This is a very historical parade field. I hope you guys like this reaction video. I've never done anything like it before. I have many more pictures that I could go through, so maybe I'll do something like this again in the future. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, become part of the team. This is Sergeant First Class Bites. I'm out.